Hello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of your Rehab Power Hour. This is your community to engage in virtual rehab together and a place to discuss all things neuro rehab, from the science, the people behind it, and the individual journeys of recovery. I am your host, Dr. Nick Housley, and thanks so much for being here on this Wednesday afternoon. As always, we welcome anyone recovering from a neurologic injury, you, your family members, your care partners, or your friends, as well as your clinicians to engage in this community that we have going. So thanks so much for being here, and I hope you're having a great, middle of your week. The first part of your week, I hope it's going well, and hopefully we'll kind of set the stage for the last part of your week with some additional rehab and some really great content today. As a couple of reminders, guys, there's always 3 ways that you can reach out to me during the Rehab Power Hour. The first of those is in the live stream. So I do encourage you to reach out, let me know where you're calling from, tell me how things are going, or if you have any questions, whether it's in regards to your Motus hand, your Motus foot, or just general neuro rehab questions. I'd be happy to address them during Rehab Power Hour today. And if you have questions outside of Rehab Power Hour, you can also give me a call at 404-594-4244 at any hour and leave me a voicemail. And we'll be watching out for those voicemails and be playing them on the air, and I can answer your questions on the air. Also, if you have a question that's maybe a bit more in depth, feel free to write me an email and send it to rehabpowerhour@motusnova.com. Again, the phone number and that email address are open 24/7. So if you have questions, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're up thinking about rehab, just like I am, feel free to reach out to me then, and we'll be sure to talk about it on a next Rehab Power Hour edition. Also, if you'd like to be featured on a next Rehab Power Hour, feature one, if you'd like to come on and share your story with the community, or ask me any questions in person, or even have some specific help with your hand mentor, whether that's doffing, or maybe some assessments with regard to your settings. I'd love to have you on, and we can chat about your journey with the Motus hand, or just general questions about rehab. I'd love to have you on and discuss that. And so do reach out to me either in the live stream here or in either via email or phone. Let me know you'd like to join. Also, if you have any sort of suggestions in the future, I know we've had a lot of great guests with respect to Dr. Wolf, and we talked about a lot of really cool topics. So feel free to reach out and let me know your suggestions going forward. Also, I want to remind you guys that during the Rehab Power Hours, we have a live session going on right now. So if you have access to a hand mentor or foot mentor, for that matter, you can actually go on and press the Join the Live Session button, and that will bring you on to a shared prescription. This is something that we will all do together, and basically it's another excuse to get another hour of rehab, and we will be here to keep you company while you do that. And if you don't have access to a Motus hand or a Motus foot, no problems. Get your home exercise program out, or your exercises out that you have been working with a therapist, and you can use the opportunity to do another set of those repetitions. And we will be here to keep you company and encourage you to do those exercises. So again, really the point of Rehab Power Hour is to be a resource for you guys, as well as to be another great excuse to get some more rehab. We know that's such an important aspect to long-term recovery. So looking forward to you guys getting as much rehab as possible. And this is just another means by which you can do that. I also want to give a quick shout out, a big congratulations to 3 more individuals for completing your 30-hour challenge. And so I want to congratulate Carlos in Ohio, Robert in Georgia, and Lisa in New York. Congratulations to the 3 of you for completing the 30-hour challenge. This is a big milestone in your recovery process, and so I'm really happy that you guys are able to get to that big milestone. For those of you who are not familiar with 30-hour challenge, this is really our kind of representation of the importance of rehab hours and the number of active movements that you're doing. And so if you are a new a Motus hand or Motus foot subscriber, and you get to 30 hours of active rehab, that's about an hour a day for that first month, then there'll be some really cool prizes that happen at the end of that. And for those of you who have reached that and maybe haven't received a prize, one of those shirts, those customized shirts, let me know in the live stream here, and I'll be sure to get one sent out to you. All you have to do is put your name in and say you've hit that 30-hour challenge, and also let me know a t-shirt size that you would prefer, and I'll be sure to send out one of those t-shirts to you. All right, everyone. I just want to quickly go down here and welcome everyone. I see Stacy, as always, welcome, and Robin from California. Hopefully things are going well for you there. I also want to, I think we have Heather in the audience as well. So welcome, Heather. All right, everyone. So I do encourage you to let me know if you have any questions or comments during this process today in the live stream here. So I'm just going to go over to our first spotlight user and get things off to the races today. So I'm going to start with Han, I think. Han, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent, Han. Thanks so much for being here on Rehab Power Hour.
Thank
First
you.
of all, tell me a little bit about you. I know we've talked a little bit before, but it would be helpful maybe to kind of give a reminder to everyone who you are, where you're calling from, and when you had your neurologic injury.
I had my stroke back in July 2019, and I live in El Paso, Texas.
Okay.
It was a hemorrhagic stroke.
Yep.
So I have left side weakness, and my arm, I have movement on my shoulder and my arm, but my wrist and my hand is a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's something we've talked about before, because you've been on Rehab Power Hour before, and it's great to have you back on. And so I think what we can do today, if you wouldn't mind, we can kind of go through and maybe answer some of the questions that you have and do a quick checkup and see how some of your ranges are going. How does that sound?
Yes. Yeah. Because I was out of town for like a month.
Yeah.
And I came back, and I guess I just got back like a week ago.
Okay.
So I do need some adjustment on my hand
Sure.
mentor.
Excellent.
Get a little bit more movement, I guess.
Yeah, no worries. Well, let's get to it, I think. So,
Okay.
Han, it looks like you do have your Motus hand up and running. Is that correct?
I'm
Excellent.
ready.
Very good. And so, actually, I'm going to just ask you maybe a couple of questions before we really dive into this. Have you noticed, I know you were on vacation a little bit and away from your Motus hand for a while. Remind me, how long have you been using it since you got it?
I used it for about 4 weeks.
Okay.
I got it in February 26th, and I left on vacation, I guess, in March. So I missed the whole month of March. No, actually, I got mine January 26th.
Okay.
And I used it for the whole month of February, and then I left the whole month of March. So I didn't use it for the whole month of March.
Okay. All right. Well, now tell me this. In those first couple of weeks that you were using your Motus hand, what kind of things did you notice? Any changes in those first couple of weeks?
Yes, I noticed my shoulder. I have more movement, and I can raise my arm above my shoulder with less effort and less pain. It does help with the tone, and I guess I noticed that the first thing I noticed, I was able to raise my arm a little bit higher.
Okay.
And I guess I was able to raise it above my shoulder.
Okay, kind of above your shoulder.
I think after like 2 weeks, I used it.
Okay, great. Now, the one thing I'm kind of driving towards here is you took some time off. Have you noticed any change since you stopped using the Motus hand? Have things changed?
Definitely. When I start using it again, I feel like my hand can move a little bit better. The tone definitely helped with the tone.
Okay. I'm just asking, did you find that after a month of not using anything, did you kind of go backwards, or you stay the same? What did you?
You know what? I think a little bit backward, but not too much, because
Okay.
I wasn't using the hand mentor that much before I left, like a month.
Sure. That's okay. Yeah. So what we can do, Han, is let's actually go ahead and dive in and start that process of evaluating where you are now.
Okay, good, perfect.
Excellent. Okay. So it looks like you are on your home screen right now. Actually, it looks like I am not getting video anymore. That's okay. But what we can do, I can see your video on our call here. I'm looking at your the screen to check out the actual ranges of motion. So let's do this really quickly. Let's go ahead and have you go into your telehealth button for me.
Okay.
And then what do you see there?
I see assessment, start meeting, and telehealth session.
Okay, let's go ahead and end the telehealth session really quickly, and we'll reshare that screen.
Okay.
Yeah. So that same thing you did before we got on the air here, we'll go ahead and redo that.
Just in case you're on there. Just in case your picture's on there.
Okay. So, Han, what do you see on your side now?
I see start meeting and assessment.
Okay, let's go ahead and have you start the meeting for me.
Okay.
Okay. And then when you see that, do you see the little toggle to share screen button pop up?
Let me see. Okay, so talk, yes, hit that.
Please. There we go. Excellent. We are back up and
Okay.
running. So go ahead and press the assessment button on the right-hand side for me. Okay.
Okay.
And then you can, I guess, what do you see there?
I see assessment assistant, back meeting.
Okay, very good.
Plus,
Very
minus.
good. Very good. Okay, so what we'll do then, Han, I'm going to look at our ranges of motion here and just check out where we are. Now, do you have your Motus hand on your arm right now?
Yes, yes, I do.
Excellent. Very good. So what we'll do, I'm going to just take a quick look, see at where the data is coming in right now. Just kind of check. Looks like pretty good there. I'm going to go ahead and clear this out and remind where we are here on those degrees. And let's go ahead and have you, we'll do our first of our three-step process here, guys, as always. We'll do an active range of motion check. Then we'll do a passive range of motion check, and we'll see how much we can do with an assistive check. Those are our three primary steps here. So first thing I want you to do, Han, is, remember, there's no right or wrong answer to this. I just want you to do the best you can, okay? So go ahead and move up and down. So we'll start with going up as far as you can and do extension for me. Okay, very, very, very good. And I'm going to have you go down into flexion as far as you can down for me, please. And again, only move in those ranges of motion that are not causing you pain.
Okay.
Ooh, very good, Han. Very nice. So it looks like you're almost all the way down into the bottom of flexion there. I'm going to have you go once more up and do extension for me from here.
Glad I don't have a lot.
I know, that's okay. That's all right. Like I said, there's no right or wrong answer to this. It's just as what you can do now is as good as we can do. So very good. I'm going to have you stop there. And I'm actually going to kick in here, and we'll start, you remember this from last time, I'm going to move some of the assistance on, and you let me know as soon as you feel the Motus hand start to move you, okay?
Okay.
Okie dokie, guys. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the Motus hand to actually kick in and provide some assistance. This would be very much like if I was there personally and moving Han through these ranges of motion. And so what we'll do is you guys may hear that Motus hand kick in and provide some of that assistance. Okay. And Han, remind me, so you said you were having some improvements with your the pain, right?
Yes,
And
definitely.
Okay, very good. Very, very good.
I haven't noticed on my wrist a whole lot, but my fingers a little bit looser, but I also got Botox. So I would love to see.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Okay.
I don't hear any sound on my end though.
Yeah, I think it may be a little bit slow today. What we can do actually, Han, is on your side, you can actually go ahead and you see those little two buttons, the little plus and minus buttons.
Yeah,
let's go ahead and press those up for me. So go ahead and push that up to around 20 or 30. There we go. Okie dokie. And then we'll just walk our way through that. So you can go ahead and go up to maybe 40 here. I'll be watching these ranges of motion. Okay. Very good. I'm liking this. Pretty good. And we'll keep going up to maybe 50. Okay. How you doing there, Han? We'll kind of just check real quick.
Good, good. Like, how am I feeling?
Yeah. Any problem?
No, no pain, nothing.
Very, very good. We'll keep going maybe to 60. Okay, I'm liking this. We'll keep going up maybe to 70. I'm liking this. Let's keep going, Han. Any problems there?
Nope.
Excellent.
Keep going.
So let's just pause here for a second. Let's do a quick systems check. Any resistance, any pain for you in that hand?
No.
Excellent. Let's keep going. Maybe this. Let's go to. You're about 80 right now.
I went to 90.
Okay, that's okay. That's all right. This is one of the great things. Is kind of self-directed to make sure that you can kind of guide this. So very good. I'm liking this quite a lot, Han. We actually, so if you guys see on my screen, our settings going into this were minus 13 to 13, and we'll discuss that in just a second, kind of the changes. So Han, I'm going to have you go. Let's go up to 95. Okay, very good. Excellent. And then after this, we can go ahead and go all the way down to 0. So you can go ahead and remove all that. So minus all the way down to 0. Okay.
Okay.
Fairly happy with that, Han. How about you? It seems like a lot of improvement, I think, since the last time we did this. So what I'm noticing here is we got about 6 or 7 degrees more of flexion than before, because we were at minus 13, so 13 degrees of flexion. We're now at about 21 degrees. And now we are up to, let's see, about 40 degrees of extension instead of 13 degrees. So that's a pretty big change. I like that.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to make a couple modifications here, Han. And what I'd like to do actually is have you hit the back button on the top left.
Oh, hit back?
Yeah. And so I'll make these changes to the actual the ranges of motion.
Okay.
So I'm gonna increase the ranges of motion because you do have more now, which is great.
Yes.
I'm not gonna go all the way up. I'm gonna do a fairly big change, but it should still be manageable.
So what happened if you go all the way up? Am I still is that better or no?
So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna kind of meet us in the middle, right? Because the one thing I don't want to do, Han, is push us too hard. Because that can potentially cause some problems. So I think it's good to kind of go most of the way there, and then we're going to let the last little bit go in a smooth, kind of slower fashion.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to take anything away from you. It's just going to be much more of a rational buildup. We don't want to. The kind of analogy I give is you don't want to go out, and just because you could potentially run a marathon day one, we don't want to necessarily do that day one, right? We want to kind of build up to that process. So we'll kind of we'll run the 10K first before we go to the marathon. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so let's have you. Actually, I'm going to ask you. We've had a couple of new games since you started probably using your hand mentor again.
Yeah, that's another one. I got more of my game now.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. We can also modify those games today too.
Yes.
So, which ones did you not like? Or which ones did you like?
I don't like the breaker.
Okay.
And I like the Plinko a lot. Plinko, the one that you drop the ball. I like that a lot. I like the strongman.
Okay.
I like the fishing game. I'm not good at that yet. I don't like that card game because I can't really.
Okay.
But pretty much I like everything except the breaker and the tennis. Well, the tennis, I don't notice that I use a lot of the movement,
Sure,
it's like a slow thing.
Sure.
And I don't like that Galazar game, the shooting game.
Okay. Well, I will say this, I think what we can do is I'm going to take away that brick breaker one if it wasn't such a fun one for you. I added a little bit of time to Plinko and to fishing. I know you said fishing was hard, but you liked it.
I get to use a lot of the extension and things like that, which I need a lot. That's my challenge right now. The one that my wrist going down, I have no problem.
Yep.
But wrist going up is my challenge.
Yep. So I made a modification to those exercises. And what I'd like you to do now, Han, is go ahead and hit begin therapy. And we will actually start getting, let's see here. We'll do that. So I made those modifications to your prescription and also to your settings. So I think we will, I'd like you to actually start those couple of exercises and let me know how these changes are working for you. Okay?
You want me to do it now or?
Yeah. Let's start it now. I mean, there's no better time like the present, right?
Okay, perfect.
Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly make sure that Han's up and running here. And you let me know, Han, when you start. Looks like we're getting going.
Okay, now I can start. So should I skip the stretching game?
No, let's go ahead and do it really quickly. Let's see. Okay. Very good. How's it going, Han?
Good, perfect.
Okay, very good. All right.
Actually, I feel a little bit more now, Nick.
Yeah, you are, because again, like I said, I moved the ranges a little bit more because you have now the ability to move in those ranges, and so I want to kind of make sure that it is still going to be hard enough for you. Because if it's not hard enough for you, then it's not going to push you to get more improvements.
Yeah, because I feel my arm, my shoulder, I feel it.
Yeah.
Before I didn't feel it that much, but now I'm actually feeling it.
Okay. Yeah, very good. All righty. So I'm happy with this, Han. So what I want you to do, I want you to actually go ahead and do a couple of these exercises. You don't have to do all of them, but I want you to walk through some of them.
Of course, of course. So I just skip this, okay?
Okay, very good. And then what we'll do is we'll do a couple more. And I'm actually going to go to another guest really quickly.
Of course, of course.
And then I will circle back around. I want you to then tell me how things are going.
Okay, okay. So I'll play my game. Thank
Yeah,
you.
play games, and I'll be right back to help you out. Okay.
Okay,
So
no problem.
Very good. So thanks so much,
Thank
guys,
you.
for being here. So I'm going to go over to, I think it's, is it Mel and Mila, I think? Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Mila, can you hear me?
They're still not being able to hear you, Dr. Housley.
Oh, okay. All righty. Well, we will go over to our next spotlight user then. So thanks for that, Matt. We're going to go over to Jamie real quick. Jamie and Teresa, can you guys hear me?
Hi.
Hey, guys. How are you? Ooh, let's see. Jamie, Teresa, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you
Beautiful.
hear us now?
I can hear you just fine. There we go, guys. Well, first of all, welcome back to the Rehab Power Hour. How are things going with you?
Things are going well.
Very good.
He has been using this thing like religiously every day.
Good, good.
I think it's doing a lot for him. I'm
Good.
really curious kind of to get your take on it.
Yeah, let's totally do it. I think so. It looks like you guys clearly have the Motus hand on, and so Jamie, if you're good to go, we can actually dive straight into an assessment to see exactly what's happened in the last couple of weeks since we've last talked. How does that sound?
Let's take for your friend.
Okay.
He has pretty significant aphasia.
That's okay. That's okay. No worries. So what we'll do then is, so it's good that we have you there, Teresa, to help. So I can see a lot of really nice movements here, guys. So let's go ahead, and I think we're in the assessment right now. But let's actually have you go hit the back button for me, if you wouldn't mind. You see our little home button? Very good. So go ahead and press that home button for me. Excellent. And then once that home button shows up, we will then go down to the telehealth section. Okay. And so while we get this spun up here, guys, if you wouldn't mind, tell me how long has it been since you started using the Motus hand?
I want to say it's been just a little over a month.
Okay. All right. So still fairly early on. And so you guys can go ahead and hit the telehealth button for me. Beautiful. And then assessment, and we will be good to go. Okay. So I am going to go and start a couple things. I see a lot of movement here, which is really great. So let's have you go ahead. Jamie, I'm going to have you go down in deflection as far as you can for me.
No, it's good.
Go down as far as you can. Great. And then once you go all the way down, that's beautiful. And then I'm going to have you go up as far as you can and do extension. As far as you can up. As far as you can go up. Very good. Very good. Excellent. Keep going up. Keep going up. Okay. So then you can go ahead and relax, Jamie, for me. I'm going to then come in and do a quick passive check, just like we did with Han. So you guys just get to relax. And as soon as you feel the hand mentor move you, you let me know. Okay? Okay. So we'll kick in here. You guys may hear the hand mentor kick on. Okay.
Feel it? Yeah, feeling it.
Okay, very good, very good. And so you guys let me know as soon as it actually, got some good movement there pretty quickly. I say the first thing, we may not need a whole lot of assistance here, guys, which is good. So just go ahead and relax for me as much as you can. It looks like we got a nice big spike there. Okay. So I'm going to have you just continue to relax. Okay. So any difference there, Jamie and Teresa?
No.
Okay. It should be kicking in here. There it goes. Okie dokie. I'll keep going up here. Some pretty good movement, I'd say, in terms of range of motion. A lot of, not very much tone I'm seeing, which is good. And so, Jamie, Teresa, any sort of, I mean, talk to me about some of the changes you've seen since the last time we've talked.
Well, he would never have tolerated this at the beginning.
Sorry about that, Teresa. I can't hear you very well. Could you please repeat that?
He's at right now. He's really not showing any distress. He would never have tolerated that at the beginning.
Yeah.
He had zero movement independently and very highly sensitive.
Yeah.
And to have his hand flexed like this was not something that he would have been able to tolerate.
Sure.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So this is good then, yeah?
No, you're supposed to be doing whatever they're doing.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
I think that's Mel. Is that correct?
Neil?
Apologies. Yeah, give me just a second. I'm working with Teresa and Jamie. Give me just a second.
Okay, I don't know what this is.
So, Teresa, Jamie, can you guys still hear me? Teresa?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorry. No, the audio was just going back a little bit, not being able to hear. So, okay, go last little bit up, and then I'm going to bring us back down into flexion. I'm pretty happy with that, guys. So,
I think his OT would probably be in shock right now.
yeah, so why do you say that, Teresa?
Because when we were doing OT, which was mainly focusing on his hand in the hospital, lots of sensitivity in his arm, very limited on that type of a range of motion.
Sure.
Would have been, yeah, not expected to see that. And he's not showing any signs of distress, which I'm well familiar with these days.
Sure. I think that's really good. I'm really happy about that. So I think I'm pretty encouraged by this. And so what I'm going to have you guys do, I'm going to put a little bit of assistance in here, and we'll see exactly what kind of changes we have. Got quite a lot here. So wait for this. The hand mentor will kick in a little bit. Here we go. So Jim, what I'd like you to do is to go up into extension as far as you can for me. Okay. So we'll go up and up and up and up. Keep going up. Very good. And then go down as far as you can into flexion. So move down as far as you can for me. As far down as you can. Very good. Very good. Okay. So I see we actually have the ability to move quite a bit more. I'm going to move us up a little bit. Okay. So I think since we last talked, we actually have about 10 or 12 degrees more of movement. So I think we're going to go ahead and go up into a little bit more movement. I guess I'm going to increase the ranges a little bit. Okay. And I'm actually going to decrease potentially the amount of assistance. If you guys are okay with that, I think we might need less. That's the ultimate goal, right? Is to be able to do this without any assistance. And so, very good. Okay, so I'm going to have you guys actually go back on the top left-hand side for me.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do the last little bit of adjustment in a couple of actual therapeutic exercises. So go ahead and hit home for me, and we'll go ahead and start. And I'm actually going to ask Jamie real quick, do you have any sort of preferences about games? Which ones do you like?
Are there any games you like more than others? Yeah. But it's going to be hard for you to say what those are.
Okay. That's okay. Well, how about this? Let's go ahead and start, and I'm going to see how the performance is. Okay, very good. So this is really what I like to do here in terms of actually seeing how the performance is in the therapeutic exercises. So let's go ahead and start, okay? Okay, that's just me making a quick change here. So go ahead and hit play. So whenever you see those pauses, that's really me kicking in to make a modification, okay? Okay, so Jamie, let's have you watch that screen and really try to be that strong man. So you go down into flexion as far as you can and pick up that barbell. Very good, very good. Excellent. Almost there, Jamie, almost there. It's so close.
Not with that hand.
What's that?
Moving the hand.
There we go. There we go. Very good. Excellent. So, Jamie, can you let me know, is any of this uncomfortable for you?
Uncomfortable, discomfort, any pain?
Excellent. Very good. Okay, that's what I'm most happy about. I think the fact that, I've said this before, but I think PTs and OTs, we get a bad rap for being the harbingers of pain with rehab. But I just fundamentally don't agree with that. I think it shouldn't be painful. And so it's important for when we do these assessments, then we need to really make sure that you're moving in ranges of motion that are comfortable in order to induce those positive changes. So I think it's really important that we assess that. This is a good tip for all of you guys out there. If you are doing these exercises, it shouldn't hurt. It should be hard. That's different than painful, though. So that's a good thing to be kind of self-aware of. Okay, so Jamie, what I want you guys to do, just like Colin, I want you guys to do a couple of these repetitions. I'm going to be watching some of the data come in, and we'll make a couple of modifications maybe at the back end of Rehab Power Hour. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Very good. Okay, so I think I'm going to go over to our next guest really quick. But before I do that, I want to reintroduce everyone. This is your Rehab Power Hour, and I'm your host, Dr. Nick Housley. Thanks so much for being here. As a quick reminder, if you guys have any questions or comments, let me know in the live stream here. I know there's a couple here. One of them was from Lucy about insurance coverage and how much does it cost. So let me go ahead and quickly address that. It's a great question, Lucy. And right now, insurance is covering the therapeutic exercises with your providers. And we are actually working right now to try to get coverage for the Motus hand and Motus foot. And so I think those are opportunities that we handle on a case-by-case basis, and we will work with you and your medical teams to try our best to get this covered by your insurance. So we are actively working on those steps right now. And right now, the cost is $399 a month for the hand mentor, or for the Motus hand. And so let me know if that was able to answer your questions in there, or if you have a follow-up question, I'd be happy to address that. For now, I'm going to go over to, I think we have Mel and potentially Mila here. I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. So let me see if I can get your audio on. Can you guys hear me? Okay, let's see. Mel and or Mila, can you hear me? Okay, we might not have them on air yet, so it looks like we'll try to continue to get to them. Let me go over to Wen really quickly. Wen, can you hear me?
I can.
Excellent, Wen. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you, sir.
Excellent. First of all, welcome to Rehab Power Hour. And if you wouldn't mind, maybe introduce yourself. Tell me who you are, where you're calling from. And is it you who's interested, I guess, who has the neurologic injury, or are you calling for someone else?
No, I happen to be a healthcare proxy for my dearest friend who resides in New York.
Okay,
and
sure.
He's having some issues, and he'd like to, he had a stroke, and he'd like to drive his car.
Okay.
So rather than let him get in the car, even if he has doctor's approval, I'd like to make sure he's physically able to do so. That's why I'm looking into your program.
Sure, yeah. So that's a good question. I think it's really good to have some backup, right? It's great to have care partners and friends and family members to help you in the process of recovery. It can be very, very challenging, and so it's great that you're there. Now, I think with respect to helping driving, this is a good question. I've got a number of friends and colleagues who do driving reassessments, and we haven't formally evaluated the Motus hand and the Motus foot's ability to help with someone's driving ability. That being said, I think what is really interesting is a lot of the movements that are required of your upper extremity and of your lower extremity when you're driving are the same sort of movements that are done with the Motus hand and the Motus foot. So I think it would be consistent with the ability to helping individuals regain those functions. And so I think I'm always very, very transparent about what evidence we do have and what evidence we don't have. So we haven't formally evaluated its ability to help individuals drive better, but we know it has the ability to help people have better function and have more strength and range of motion. And those things would, of course, be crucial to be able to drive successfully.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And that's
this
what I'm
is a-
looking forward to, getting more range
Yeah.
of motion, getting more strength.
Yep.
And coordination and you have to have movements in a timely fashion.
Ooh.
It's not only enough to be able to do something, you have to do something in a timely fashion.
You are
So-
exactly right. The precision of movement, the temporal characteristics of our movement patterns are super important, right? Especially with reaction time, considering that.
Most definitely.
That's another nice thing about having that virtual environment, those games, right? They kind of impose those same sort of challenges that you would face if you were out driving. And so I think in this specific, your friend's specific situation, it's a great opportunity to have this in the home, because you don't have to necessarily use the car to get the better, it's kind of a circular logic, right? You have to go to a place to get better, but that requires driving. So this can kind of circumvent those limitations, and you can regain, or your friend can regain those abilities at home with the express purpose of regaining that ability to be independent through driving.
Which he looks quite forward to. And I think your mental health is deeply connected to your physiological health. So, I like to take a holistic approach, and hopefully this program will give him the strength and flexibility and the timeliness.
Very good. Yeah, no, I think that's great. Great advice. I think you're exactly right. It is not simply sufficient to have the function. You have to have the right mindset. You have to be motivated enough. And you have to have the right group of people around you to help you get back to full recovery. So I think that's it's
And
really
I
great.
find a lot of the routine things that people are doing, if you're just doing physical therapy at home or occupational therapy, I think it gets boring for folks. So I thought the added element of the games that you have, the interactive games, would be helpful as well. It's more of a motivating force.
Sure. Yeah, I think we agree. We very much agree. And a lot of the stroke survivors that are using the Motus hand and Motus foot now, I think would also concur. So I think it could be a great fit.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, of course. And when I do encourage you, stick around. If you have any more questions that emerge.
No, I'm sticking around. Trust me, I'll be here the whole time.
Excellent. Yeah. And if you have any sort of questions or comments that kind of pop up, there's a chat button that you can reach out to me on, or you can actually just, raise a hand or just shout at me and I'll listen, and we can answer those questions for you today. All right. Excellent. Very good. So I think hopefully we will get to Mel and or Mila. I think I see Mel and Mila.
Sí, pero no sé, habla
Okay. Let's see.
No quiso ver nada, yo no sé.
No, tú tienes que ver todo. Tú tienes que ver.
Pero no, mi sobrino no quiere.
Okay, I think we potentially have Mila and Mel. Let's see.
Es un doctor que le va a dar terapia.
Okay, we will try to get their audio up and running. It sounds like we have some audio up and running. I apologize, guys, for that a little bit of feedback there. Now I'm going to ask. I think I have Matt here. Matt, do you know if we have Mel and or Mila on?
I think they're having audio problems.
Okay.
Mila, ¿ustedes me escuchan?
Sí. Responde lo que te van a preguntar.
Hola, ¿me escuchan?
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Housey, I think they can hear us.
Excellent, very good. And I'm going to thank Matt for being here, for being a conduit, a translational conduit. So thank you so much for being here, Matt. So I guess we'll just start off by maybe just as a quick introduction. What can I do for you today?
Entonces el doctor está preguntando si pueden dar una breve introducción y cómo los puede ayudar.
Contesta. Sí.
Oh,
Sí, sí.
¿Cuál sería la introducción, como cuando tuviste derrame o qué querías que comparta con el doctor?
Él tuvo su derrame va a ser 2 años, el 27 de abril. El 27 de abril y
Okay, so he
el
had a
25
stroke.
iba a ser 2 años, pero él tuvo un derrame masivo, tuvo una cirugía cerebro y prácticamente cuando él salió del hospital no hablaba, no caminaba, no, nada. Él empezó de cero. Pero ahorita el problema es que su mano no trabaja. Su mano
Ok.
derecha casi no trabaja. La tiene, la tiene colgando o como si la ve prácticamente su mano.
Sí. Entonces le voy a decir esto al doctor. So Dr. Housley, he had a stroke and it was a massive stroke. And so
Okay.
his hand is just hanging and he can't do anything with it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think what's important, and I'll try to be, I know I am normally quite verbose with my responses. I'll try to be cognizant of that. I think one thing that's important to mention is that you don't necessarily need to have any active movement to engage with the Motus hand. You can start using the Motus hand without any of that movement.
Entonces lo que está diciendo el doctor es que puedes empezar a usar el Motus Hand sin ningún movimiento para empezar la rehabilitación en casa.
¿Qué dice?
El Motus Hand es el nombre del aparato que va a estar haciendo, que el señor estaría usando para poder rehabilitarse en la casa.
Ajá, sí.
Sí, entonces hasta si él no tiene ningún movimiento, no hay problema. Puede empezar de cero e ir mejorando de a poco. Sí, no sé si, ¿qué preguntas tendrían para el doctor?
Porque él ha subido su mano y porque mira, si te fijas, su mano está colgando.
Sí, okay. She says that, yeah, if we look, his hand is hanging, okay, y
Está caminando, pero...
okay, sí, eso no sería un problema. La idea sería que él necesita entonces la rehabilitación, que le haría con este tipo de robótica.
Sí. ¿Eso es diario o...?
Okay, el horario. She's saying, what would the regimen look like of hours and days?
Sure. So I think it's really important to emphasize the importance of the amount of rehab that you do. And I think this is in terms of repetitions, active repetitions, as well as it needs to be done regularly. So not just once a week. Ideally, you do it maybe 5 times a week. Some of the best evidence out there indicates that we need to do this many, many times a day. So like 400 to 500 or more repetitions every day. And that takes a lot of hours. And so many, many hours a day. We like to start off with maybe an hour and then build up from there. But we're talking probably 5 times a week, maybe an hour per day would be a good place to kind of benchmark off of. And then we can build up from there once you build up that capacity. Sorry, Matt, that was a lot.
No, it's okay. Entonces, Malea, lo que dice el doctor es que la idea es que debería estar haciendo lo más posible. Entonces, empezar con por ahí 5 días por semana, por lo menos 1 hora. Y haciendo entonces, lo puedes hacer varias veces por día, no tiene que ser 1 hora directo, y que es hacer por lo menos unas 400 a 500 repeticiones por día. Y la idea es que cuando vayas haciendo esto, tu cuerpo y mente van a ir aguantando hacer más cantidad. Y ahí le puedes ir incrementando la cantidad de horas que haces por día.
Ya vamos.
¿Sí? No sé si tienen alguna otra pregunta o algo más.
No, that's for you.
No, solo, pues, es la primera vez que uso el Zoom, pero voy a agarrar su tableta para que tengamos mejor acceso y él pueda ver mejor las clases.
Ok. Y si quiere, entonces después los puedo llamar y hablamos más específicamente sobre esta robótica, ¿sí?
Ajá. Ok.
Okay. Yep,
Okay.
Dr. House, it looks like that.
Clases de Es solamente para la piel, para todo, mente, cuerpo y cuerpo, ¿verdad?
A ver qué le pregunto. She's asking, this is for the hand, the leg, and the mind, and for the whole body.
Good question. It is for the Motus hand, is for the hand, the wrist, and the arm, as well as your brain. And the Motus foot is for your foot and ankle to help you walk better.
Sí, entonces hay dos equipos. Uno, el Motus Hand, es para el brazo entero, no mano, codo, hasta el hombro. Y después la otro, que es, y la mente, siempre la mente. Y el otro, que es el Motus Foot, es para la pierna entera y también la mente, como para ayudarte a caminar mejor.
Ok.
¿Sí? No sé si tienen alguna... ¿Sí?
¿Dónde?
No sé si tienen alguna otra pregunta. Si no, igual tenemos otra de estas sesiones el viernes. Así el doctor puede ir viendo diferentes preguntas.
Ok. Si me interesa, estamos interesados, principalmente yo.
Ok.
Porque él normalmente no quiere hacer nada. Normalmente no quiere hacer nada. No quiere estar durmiendo y comiendo. Y no quiere hacer ejercicio.
Okay. Yeah, so she's saying she's very interested, especially because at the moment there's a motivation issue.
Yeah, motivation is very challenging, and we all know this. Neuro rehab is quite hard and can be very protracted. And so having the games can be very helpful to stay motivated.
Ok, entonces lo que dice el doctor es que sí, la parte de motivación es crítica y estos juegos, estos robots lo que hacen es siempre con juegos, entonces eso ayuda a la parte de motivación.
Ajá. Regresó.
Ok. ¿Tienen alguna otra pregunta?
No, esto todo. Pues estamos al pendiente, se desconectó, pero no. Vamos a estar para el pendiente de la clase. ¿A qué horas es? ¿Igual la misma hora?
Sí, pero no es tanto una clase, es, si quieren después de esto la llamo y les explico. Esto es un robot que tendrías en tu casa y puedes hacer la rehabilitación cuando quieras.
Oh, es un robot.
Sí.
Hasta ahorita estoy viendo. ¿Eso es tiene algún costo? ¿Lo puede cubrir la aseguranza?
Sí, si quiere, toda esa parte, si quiere te llamo luego y te la explico, ¿sí?
Correcto.
Ok.
Correcto.
Yeah, so, claro, por supuesto. Yeah, so Dr. Housley, she's interested and she's organized a call for afterwards. But for now, that's it for questions.
Very good. No, thank you, everyone. And again, a special thank you to Matt for helping be a conduit and being a resource to help us serve everyone. So thank you so much, Matt.
Of course.
Very good. Okay, guys. And I look forward to chatting with you guys afterward and answering your questions. I know it can be a little challenging, and I apologize for that. So thanks, guys. I'm actually going to go over to Han really quickly and check how things are going. So Han, can you hear me?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Of course, yes. So let's see, Han, can you, I think you are muted right now, Han, so let's see if we can get you unmuted.
No, actually. Can you hear me now, Doctor?
I can, Han, yes.
Okay.
Excellent, Han. How are things going? I was watching some of the data come in, and it looks pretty good on my end.
Yeah, okay. I feel a little bit more like my arm get tired. Does that mean that you give me less assistance? I have to work on my own more? Is that how it works?
I think it was a combination of two things, Han. I think one, I increased the range of motion a little bit because you would now have some more movement. And I didn't actually reduce the assistance level that much. It was about the same. the thing that's important is that it's been maybe a little bit of time since you have done some dedicated rehab. And so I think maybe you're experiencing a little bit more fatigue quickly, because it's very much like if you don't go to the gym for a while, you kind of build up a big reservoir before you stop, and you kind of will regress a little bit. And so you might have lost a little bit of endurance, and that's probably what you're experiencing now.
Yeah, because since I've been back, I actually have been doing it for an hour every day.
Yep.
But today I noticed that my arm get more tired, and I feel not pain, but a little bit uncomfortable.
Sure.
Which is great because I feel like it's working, you know?
Yeah, like I said, this is that distinction of pain, not so good. Effort and difficulty, if it's hard, that's okay. But that kind of soreness is a little bit different.
Good pain. This is good pain.
Sure. So I think another thing too to mention, Han, did you do an hour before we jumped on? We had Power Hour today. Have you already done your rehab?
Today I haven't yet.
Okay. All right, so I think what may happen, Han, is you may experience these next couple of days, because the difficulty is a little bit harder. You may experience more of that challenge early on.
Okay.
And what we'll do is we'll continue to bump up those numbers and those ranges of motion, and we'll continue to decrease that amount of assistance, such that.
Okay, so today you decreased some assistance for me, right? Like the wrist going down?
A little bit. Yep.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I feel like it's harder for me to go down. I have to work harder.
Yep.
Okay, so how about the wrist going up? You help me more, or?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit more. And you're actually able to move about 10 degrees more. I guess if you guys can actually look through the data here, before we were around 20 degrees of extension, and now we're up to around 30, hovering 30 consistently, Hans. That's pretty good. 30, 32.
Okay. So I have less help in that also going up, right? Okay.
So that's one of the reasons why you're probably experiencing some of that fatigue, a little bit of fatigue.
Okay. But right now you didn't add any game for me, right? Any new game?
I added a couple of new games. It may take one full cycle for it to kick in, because some of those games have to download it, so it may take a full cycle. But those games should be on your prescription now.
Okay, good. And the game that the space shoot, I don't think I can do that game yet. But let me try that also. Okay,
I have it on there for a couple of minutes just to see. You can always skip it if it's too hard.
Okay, so but I like it. I mean, I feel more a little bit of good pain. I like it.
Okay, very good.
I feel like my arm working a little bit more.
As long as it's working, that's what we want, right? That's our end goal.
Yeah, because before I couldn't feel much, you know, it's just like seemed too easy. But today is a little bit harder, which is good for me.
Very good. I'm okay with that. So thanks so much, Han.
Okay, thank you. So if I need more adjustment, then I can work with you, or how does that work, Nick? Am I offline?
Yeah, no, I think what we can do, Han, is we can set the time to chat offline if you'd like.
How about you being my therapist?
Am
I offline to say something like that? I'm not sure.
That's okay, Han. I think, let me just put this out there to everyone. I would love to be everyone's therapist. The problem is there's not enough time in the day for me, unfortunately. So let's, I think this could be a conversation that we could have off Rehab Power Hour. Okay?
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. You have a good day. Okay, thank you.
You too as well, Han. And so, Jamie and Teresa, I'm going to go back to you guys real quick. And before I go over to you, I'm just going to remind everyone we're kind of approaching the last little bit of our Rehab Power Hour. So if you have any kind of final questions or comments for me, let me know in the live stream. I have a couple of questions to answer, most notably from Dawn. It's got a great question in there about looking at changes in your brain. So I'm really excited to talk about that one in a second. But just as maybe a final call, if you will, for questions for today. So I'm going to go over to Jamie and Teresa really quickly. Can you guys hear me? Excellent, guys. So I was watching some of the data come in, and Jamie, it looks like you were having a good time playing some of those games. Looks pretty good. What were you guys' thoughts on the changes we made today?
He didn't seem to say he noticed any big changes, so I guess that's positive.
That is a positive. Yeah, I think the one thing I was a little bit concerned about, you mentioned that he's can be sensitive to some of those movements. That some of that sensory information can be a little bit challenging, right? Especially if we have some perceptions of pain that are coming from movements. And it's good that we didn't kick in any of those. So I was worried that when we start to increase those ranges of motion, we may start to bump into some of those ranges that could be uncomfortable. So it's really good that we didn't actually encounter that today.
Yeah, none of that. He was not, I kept asking him, you know, if he was having any problems, and he said no. I mean, in the past, he's had Myers cream prescribed for him for that arm, and did testing because of pain and sensitivity. And
Yeah.
that like improved since he started using the Motus. Like I can't even describe how significantly.
Yeah, James and Teresa, I think this is super, super important to mention, guys. We haven't actually formally evaluated this, but this is a really important aspect of rehab, that the aspect of what's called central sensitization. That's a big loaded term, but basically what it means is under normal circumstances, if I were to rub my skin, that's not going to be painful to me. But after a neurologic injury, what can happen is those normal sensations get interpreted inappropriately and they can become painful. And this is often too common after a neurologic injury. And so one of the best things that you can do is actually called desensitization training, where you actually do a little bit of exposure to things, and it helps your brain, just like you were to relearn moving, it helps your brain to learn to reinterpret those signals, those sensory bits of information, as not painful. And so I think that could be what you guys are experiencing, just as an underlying physiologic change. Again, I don't have that data for you specifically, Jamie, but that is very consistent with what the types of therapies that we would use. We would use these types where you would move, and you would move in these sort of ranges, and it would help retrain your brain to interpret those signals more appropriately. So, but I'm really glad that you guys are getting that sort of response, and it's becoming less uncomfortable to move.
Yeah, I mean, I even see him like in his sleep now. He'll sometimes start to roll over to his unaffected side, you know, and before he was one that would just stay on his back. And some of those more natural movements just seem to be happening when he's not consciously aware of it.
Sure.
I also noticed the subluxation in his shoulder has really improved since he's been using the hand mentor. And it's not like his arm just hangs there by his side anymore. You can see better tone, better responsiveness, even though he's still not initiating the movement.
Yeah, and that's really consistent with some of the things we saw in the clinical trials, right? We saw improvements in the shoulder, we saw improvements in the elbow, we saw improvements in the fine motor dexterity. So it's really, really good. I'm really happy with that. So I think, Jamie, Teresa, what I'd like you guys to do is we'll actually continue with these ranges of motion for a while. I want you guys to continue the prescription. I think what we can do is that maybe we can assess in maybe a week or so how things are going. And we can maybe talk more formally about some new games that might be useful for you to kind of bump us up to the next level.
Great.
Excellent. So it's been wonderful to see you guys and to see the progress. I'm really happy that you guys are having a good experience.
Yeah, I'm so thrilled we found this and to see what it's doing for him. I'm actually thinking of trying to get the foot mentor for him as well, because even though he is walking, there's like this disconnect you can tell between the fine motor skills of his leg and his ankle foot particularly. And I'm wondering if that would help him to build those things back in.
I think that's entirely possible, right? You know, again, it's going to be really inappropriate for me to like say for certain that's going to do X, Y, Z. But I think those types of expectations are appropriate, right? You know, if we're getting these good types of responses, I think it could be a good fit to try the foot mentor. I generally recommend people try one at a time just when they're first getting used to things, because it can be a bit overwhelming if you start to do too many things at once. And so you don't want to have any kind of diffusion, if you will. And so it's good that you guys got a really good response. You're enjoying it with the Motus hand, and then we can kind of go to the incorporate the foot if you'd like.
Yeah, I am thinking that would be, you know, a really good option for him. I mean, I think the thing that blows my mind is literally less than a year and a half ago, he had no movement in his body whatsoever. You know, and they weren't. The neurologists were telling me from his brain damage that he would likely never walk or have that movement again. And to have devices like this out there that, you know, give back that hope and kind of, you know, create expectations of healing is amazing.
Yeah, and this is really what gets us up every morning, right? This stuff is incredible, right? And this is really what motivates us, is to give people the opportunities, these resources to you know, improve their lives. And so first of all, thank you for sharing that. It's wonderful to hear that.
Well, we're really grateful to everybody there. I've talked to Ella a few times on some things, and she cannot be more amazing. I absolutely adore her, and Matt has been just great. I mean, I think you guys treat people like family, and when you're going through something like this, you can never get enough family support. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, well, we consider everyone members of the family too, right? So we are all in this together, and we will continue to do everything we can to help every stroke survivor and all their care partners continue their path to recovery. Excellent. Well, like I said, I'd love for you guys to come back on in the next couple of Rehab Power Hours. And as always, you guys are always welcome to the Rehab Power Hours. And so maybe in the next couple of weeks, we can get you back on and do another formal assessment to kind of see where we are and kind of continue to track that progress. That's super important to make sure that we are on the right track, and we can continue to refine settings to make sure that, Jamie, you are getting the most out of this experience.
That would be great. The Wednesday one is actually the best for us. I have classes on Friday night, but will somebody kind of reach out to us then to schedule that, or how does that happen?
That's exactly right, Jamie. Yeah, or Teresa. Yeah, we will get put you on the schedule for the next couple of Wednesdays, and if it works for you guys, we'd love to have you back on.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Excellent. Okay. Well, again, thanks so much, guys. And as always, you don't have to wait for Rehab Power Hour, right? If you guys have questions or comments in between them, just let us know. We're here basically all day, all night to answer questions, technical or otherwise. We're here to help. So just reach out to us. And so kind of, guys, before I actually end up for today, kind of finish things, I want to make sure I address this really cool question from Don that came through on the Facebook live stream. So Don is asking a really cool question here, guys. Will a functional MRI show new neural pathways and connections? And so this is a cool one. So actually, Don, hopefully you're still here, Don. And I think I saw an email transaction at some point about this. And the cool thing is the answer is yes. And we actually showed some of this data from Dr. Wolf when we were present. We were talking about the effects of constraint therapy. And so for those studies specifically, we were looking at broadly what are called receptive fields, areas of the brain that are responsive to various types of stimulation. We actually talked even before that about the preclinical stuff where we did these studies in non-human primates where you can actually record intracortically. Pretty cool stuff. The good thing about functional MRIs or fMRI is that we have a way then to assess things non-invasively. So what we can do with these fMRI studies, provided they have the right context and the right initial conditions, we can evaluate changes over time with respect to how the brain is connected. And maybe one of these days, if you guys think it would be fun, I can even talk about one of the studies that we did that actually used fMRI to see changes in not only the pictures of your brain, but the connectivity between regions of the brain. We can talk about how we use fMRI and some really cool statistical models to evaluate changes in what we call causal networks in the brain. And the reason this is important is the brain doesn't work in isolation. It actually has lots of areas that are interconnected that have to send information to and from each other in very specific ways to coordinate movement. And what we found is that those regions of the brain, after doing periods of hand mentor rehab, we find that those regions of the brain are actually better connected. So we're not only improving the way that the sort of the maps of the brain, if you will, but we're improving the connectivity between regions, which is really the fundamental aspect of motor control and improvements. So I think, Don, the question you asked is really, really good one. And I think at a high level, we could probably say yes, provided the scans, the fMRIs were taken under the same conditions, because you can have a resting condition or you can have an active condition. I suspect they are resting condition fMRIs, but if they are both the same, then we can compare them across time and see what kind of changes we expect to see. Now, we're not going to see the cellular, like the synaptic changes. We're going to see whole level changes. Kind of a good analogy of that is a synaptic change would be if you're standing in New York City and you're looking at maybe one individual light at one street corner and kind of where that is transmitting light from. The fMRI is kind of like a satellite in the sky looking down, and it can see the broad patterns of the lights across the United States, but you're not going to be able to see the individual lights. So it's going to give us kind of a high level view of your brain's status. So I think it would be really cool, Don, if we could maybe look through those scans together and see what we can maybe even generate a figure together. We can kind of talk about, well, what's your brain look like now? So long way to answer, and I apologize, guys, but I got some excited to talk about some science. So reach out to me, Don, maybe in the live stream here. We can connect and try to figure out how to answer that question in a more specific way for you. All right, guys, I want to give a final thank you to everyone for being here today on Rehab Power Hour. It's been great. Again, a big special thank you to Matt for providing a translation so I can talk with and share the story with some individuals who are non-native English speakers. So thank you for that. I want to remind everyone that our next session is Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So do join me there. If you have any questions or comments, I look forward to answering them then. We'll have a couple of other guests on Friday, and I look forward to seeing you then. And I guess from all of you here, go ahead. One final question.
I'm sorry, Doctor.
It's okay. Yeah.
How do you make a determination if I'd like to get Rudy the hand mentor? How do you
Sure.
make a determination as to what he needs, what type of games? And once that is effectuated, is it a very user-friendly sort of apparatus? If he has questions, can he go online or call someone to get help?
Yeah. So this is great questions. So let me start at the most recent question and go backwards. So how you make those determinations and how does he get those resources? Yes, all those resources are available at your fingertips. Actually, on the individual games, there's tutorials that pop up when you have questions about them. And also, when you start to use the Motus hand from day one, it has a series of automated processes to help you learn how to put the Motus hand on, how to actually engage with it, and how to kind of navigate things, and how to play each of the therapeutic exercises for the games. And that's totally fine if those don't work for you. We're here for technical backup too, right? And so I often will do tutorials on the Rehab Power Hour. And so we welcome anyone with questions, whether it's use of the actual Motus hand donning or actual gameplay. I'm here to help address those questions too. So this is a great resource that he could use to get started. Now, with respect to how to get started, basically it's a fairly simple process. Once the order goes in, the Motus hand will get shipped out, and all those automated systems will get set up, and then he could give us a call if he has any questions about that startup process.
So it's sort of preloaded with rudimentary beginning and then kind of challenges and games, and then you move on from there as you see how he progresses with them.
So there's a couple of ways, yes. So the Motus hand comes with basically you can imagine kind of a seed, right? What it's going to do is it's going to start from day one. It's going to do a quick assessment, actually. It's very similar to what I do here. It's going to be a kind of an automated assessment where it's going to figure out what kind of ranges of motion you have. And then based on those ranges of motion, it's going to set up kind of the assistance curves and then provide a best guess on the actual games that are most appropriate. And Rehab Power Hour is an opportunity to kind of refine those assessments and also to refine the games. And I recommend generally early on is better because we can kind of set the good kind of a starting place, and we can set that trajectory in the right direction. So whenever anyone has the opportunity to work with me early on, I think I would encourage that. And so that's something that we can of course schedule.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, of course. Great questions. I think those are relevant for everyone here. So I think, again, we'll kind of, I'll remind everyone our next Rehab Power Hour is on Friday. So if you have any sort of final questions or I guess additional questions that I'm not able to answer now, do come back on Friday and I will look forward to answering them then. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and I look forward to seeing you on Friday. And bye for now.
Thank you.